Destiny, hey girl, I'm so excited to have you on voice notes from the Organized Homeschool. This is going to be so good. I already know it because we're friends on social media and you're always doing some good stuff with your community and your children at home. So I can't wait to just pick your brain and chat and learn from you. Can you share more about yourself, like who you are, how long you've been homeschooling, how many children you have, their ages, a little bit about your homeschool, and anything else you feel comfortable sharing, then we'll go from there.
Erica, I am so excited to be doing this with you. First of all, congrats. This is an amazing idea, and I'm so proud of you and all that you are doing. And you're right, like we've been very supportive of each other on social media. So I wanted to give you your kudos first. You are doing the thing, girl. I'm super proud of you. I am Destiny McCoy. I am a mom of three. I'm a wife first. I'm a wife. I've been married for 11 years. I have three amazing kids. They are 11, 7, and 4. We've just finished our third year of homeschooling. On top of that, I host a local homeschool group here in Maryland. We do a lot of the extra things for homeschoolers. I am a believer that us moms are doing an amazing job as far as teaching our kids the core courses and curriculums at home, but I feel so deeply and so strongly about supporting our families outside of that, or in addition to that, I should say. So we do field trips, we do meetups. This coming school year, I'll be implementing a junior leadership program for the kids ages 9 to 14 that are within our group to pour into them also. Like we do things for all of the kids and all the ages, but I feel like that 9 to 14 age group is very crucial right now. It's a point where I want to build their confidence, their leadership skills. I want them to know what it's like to be around other kids who are being raised the same way. Their parents are believing in God. We are just trying to raise them up the best way that we know how. And so, yeah, we'll be doing additional things with that age group in addition to the field trips, meetups. I host a virtual mom membership called the Mom Collective. It's also under Destined for Greatness Homeschooling, which is the name of my business. I don't know how I forgot to say that, but I am the CEO of Destined for Greatness Homeschooling. Under that umbrella, there is the local homeschool group, like I said, in Maryland, and the Mom Collective, which is a virtual mom community where I'm pouring into mom. During my first 2 years of homeschooling, my kids were excelling, but Destiny was drowning, trying to be the perfect mom, the perfect wife, perfect homeschool teacher, the perfect everything, and not relying on community. I was not looking for resources. I was just out here, just thankfully, just me and God, but I was struggling to hold it all together. So it is another very deeply rooted passion of mine to make sure that mom is supported, not just in homeschooling, but in everything that she does, everything that God is calling her to do. And within the group, every mom in there, God is calling her to do something in this season, whether it's homeschooling, starting that business, being a better steward over our homes, or to be honest, some of us are doing all of it. We're all trying to manage home, be better wives according to what Christ wants us to be. We are trying to homeschool. We're trying to also start those businesses that God is asking us to do. And the best way to do that is with support. The women in the group get support in every single area. It's really sisterhood, which is why it's called a collective. It used to be called a membership, but it makes me think of, you know, how we all have that gym membership that we don't actually use. It's just like sitting there, but we're paying for it every month. So I don't really like the word membership. I like the word collective better because we're all doing this together. We're all stepping out on faith together. I am also a life coach, so I'm able to guide them textbook wise, but also in the faith in what God is pouring within me and what I get to share with them. I tell them all the time, like, I'm just here. Like, literally, this entire process has been a yes for me. Like, just God, okay, you're telling me to do this, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And I'm going to trust that you're going to be with me along the way. It's not always easy, but I'm going to do it. And my whole life has been like that, especially in this current season. So it's a lot of that too. We're going to walk. We're going to do what he's asking us to do. We're going to believe that he's going to show up. He's going to provide. He's going to give us instructions. And he also gives us community. A lot of people feel like when you're doing something as major as like homeschooling or starting a business, you got to gatekeep it and keep it all to yourself, which to an extent that's true. But there's also the aspect of God didn't call us to do anything by ourselves. He puts people in our lives specifically and strategically to help us along the journey, whichever end of the journey that is. So yeah, that was the somewhat long version of what I do. The local group is 100% homeschool based. I do a lot with those moms as well, and with the kids. The virtual group is for any mom, so you don't have to be homeschooling to be a part of that. They are one and the same, to be honest. The mission is to make sure that mom is supported because she's the foundation of our home, and from that the children can flourish also.
Destiny, you made me smile. I appreciate you so much for saying that. Being out in the internet streets can have you feeling self-conscious sometimes. Am I doing a good job here? Because sometimes it's no engagement, crickets. I appreciate you, and I just look up to you. As I was listening to your message, I was like, why don't we tell each other this type of stuff more often? Because you have been an inspiration to me, and I never said that to you. Just starting out, you were one of the first moms I found on Instagram, I think. And then I think we found each other on TikTok. I was like, okay, she's in Maryland. I'm in Maryland. She's homeschooling. I'm going to start homeschooling. She's doing stuff online. I'm going to see what she's doing. I have seen a little bit of your transition, and I am someone who finds myself feeling like I'm always pivoting in some way. And so I was like, look at her. Sometimes it can be scary to pivot a little bit, and you just did it and did it flawlessly and launched the collective, and you have your in-person community too, like doing all the things. I am very inspired by you, so I appreciate you saying that. 3 young kids that you're homeschooling, and they're cute. I love that. And you also have your in-person co-op group and a virtual group on top of being a wife and all the other roles and hats that you have on most times throughout the day. So, can we kick things off with you just telling me, because I got to know, how do you keep it all together? Like, what do you do to stay organized with 3 children, 3 sets of curriculum, 2 communities? What do you do to keep it together, keep it organized? Because that's a lot. And I'm sure there are times where it feels like a lot and too much. And then I'm sure there's times where it's, I got this. And either way, you're doing it no matter what the moment is in time. Tell me all the things.
Oh my gosh, now you having me over here tearing up. Thank you so much for everything that you said. I genuinely am proud of you. I too have watched your journey and seeing you pivot, like you said, the planner, which I do need to get because I've yet to find a planner. Matter of fact, we're going to talk about that because we're going to talk about that outside of this conversation. I have some ideas, but yeah, I have yet to find a homeschool planner that I genuinely like, especially when you need a planner for 3 people. But I'm super proud of you too. And I don't know why we don't say these things to each other a lot. I think our niche, I think it's interesting to say the least. I think that there are a lot of hurdles that we are still jumping over, especially when God is calling you to be different. And that is definitely what I feel. I am not called to talk about the same things that I see over and over again. You're right, it is a pivot. I feel like my first yes of leaving my job, focusing on my family, my business, God's exact words was so that because he couldn't do what he wanted to do in my business if I was still at work. At the time, I thought he was referring to me doing makeup. I had no idea. Like, I've heard people say I want to homeschool and I want to make money from it. I had no idea, y'all. Like, that when I started homeschooling again, that this would all come out of it. I just knew that when I did it this time, I didn't want things to be the same. I didn't want to feel like I was drowning again. I didn't want to not have a community again. The more I started researching, the more I started digging, the more I started feeling like that intense feeling of I don't see what I need. And I felt like God is calling me to create it. So that's really what happened. Did I think I knew that you guys were in Maryland. Are you guys, I hope you guys can make it to Field Day. Speaking of doing 100 things, we are having Field Day here in Maryland on the 26th. If I have not sent you the info, I'm going to do that as soon as I finish this because, yeah, I would love to have you guys at Field Day. That's another thing of me being like, why do homeschoolers not have Field Day? Everybody looks forward to Field Day in school. Just me. This is just me, guys. I'm learning to embrace my extraness and the details and the vision that God has put within me. How do I do it all, though? Okay, hold on. The easiest way to explain it is with God. And I know that sounds real cliche, but it's the truth because you're right. I am wife. I have 3 kids. I have the business. It's literally just taking one day at a time to an extent. I'm also learning at the same time to be more consistent with my routines, with my schedules, not always just winging it because that doesn't necessarily work when you are doing as many things as I am doing. I do a lot in other organizations in church and things like that too that I don't often talk about. So I'm literally always doing something. In the overall grand scheme of things, I had to get better with my routine and my consistency. I also had to decide in some seasons and some moments what needed to be put on hold. With TikTok, for example, in the beginning of the last school year, I had a little bit more capacity to record a lot of what we were doing. I think it was cool to show, but I also think that in the midst of that, I got caught up in the rules of social media and you have to post this many times a day. And if you don't, everything's going to fall apart. You have to engage from the bottom up and you have to do that at least 15 minutes before and 15 minutes after. Once I started adding all of that, I got exhausted and I was just like, I can't do it. I can't do this. I had to take a step back. It wasn't that I was going to forever not do it, but I had to get refocused on the mission. I had to get refocused on what God was calling me to do and realizing that I couldn't focus chasing an algorithm. So I had to and have to basically figure out in what season what God wants me to focus on. And also asking every day, what should we do today? I know I have a million things on my to-do list, but that doesn't mean that I need to attack all of them on the same day. Destiny would prefer to do that because I love having a somewhat completed checklist, but that's not always feasible. All of those things put together is what I have started learning. I've begun, and that has made a huge difference. And then as far as the curriculum, this past school year, we did things together as a group first, and then my oldest daughter did Power through Acellus, and my younger two, mostly my 7-year-old, did Time for Learning. The younger one, he's 4, so it was a lot of, okay, do you want to do the program today? Do you want to do hands-on learning? He's big on hands-on learning. Do you want a couple pages out of the workbook? He was a wild card as far as what method we were going to use. And we are still considering if we're going to go that same route this coming school year or if we're going to change it. I'm looking into my academy as well. I have some books. I am learning that I have an eclectic homeschool style. I love field trips. I love hands-on learning, but I also love that we talk about things together. I still love structure. I love pouring into them and also pushing them. I'm not really into the whole completely child-led stuff just because I feel like God has placed them in our lives to cultivate them, and you can't fully do that if you allow the child to lead. So we still have structure, but I still give grace also, you know what I mean? And I've explained to them too, if we are doing our morning routine, I'm not saying that this is boot camp, but if we do it and then we're finished by 12, you have the rest of the day to do other stuff. If you're interested in, we did a typing.com because they wanted to learn how to type. Now we have time for that. Or we have time for soccer. We have time for other things, and we're not constantly trying to catch up because we have a routine. So yeah, we are figuring it out. I will say the first 2 years that I homeschooled, none of this was planned. Like, I really thought that it had to be like school. We had to sit at the table. We had to do all the work. I had to do it all by myself. And that was a recipe for disaster, which is also why I have the Mom Collective and why I have the local community, because my kids need the community. As a mom, I also needed the community, and not just on homeschooling aspects. I needed it for somebody to say, yes, we're going to help you and give you the resources for homeschooling, but I'm also going to support you in the rest of your life. And the fact that you know that God is calling you to run this business, and God is calling you to work on your relationship through you. We're not having a marriage counseling, but as you grow and as God teaches you how to be who He's called you to be naturally, it flows into the rest of your home. We talk about meal planning, like we talk about mom as a whole person, not just the homeschool mom, and this is the curriculum that you need to pick and then we leave you hanging. It is so important to me to make sure that mom as a whole is supported because she's the foundation.
Okay, this is all so good. I know someone is going to be so grateful for everything you're sharing. 100%. Let's talk about the planner, because I want to hear your idea. But I have been meaning to do a video on the planner and how to set it up for multiple kids, because that's what I like about it, is that if you use it digitally or paper-based, you can add pages. Like, you can duplicate pages and add them. So then if you need a weekly planning sheet, if all your kids can fit on the one weekly planning sheet, cool. But if you want one for each kid, you just do that. You just go into PDF, duplicate, and print out another sheet, or you go to your GoodNotes app if you're using it on your app, and print it out like that. So we can talk more about that. I'm going to try to make that video if I remember. Let's see. Oh, Spirit Week, or not Spirit Week, Field Day. Yes, send me the details. If we can make it, definitely down for that. And you're like, I just accept I'm doing too much. And like, I'm the same way. Like, I'm going to let you know when I decide and where it's going to be and all that. But I'm planning a homeschool mom, or what did I call it? It's simple. Vision board brunch, homeschool vision board brunch in August for us to eat, and maybe if people want to have a drink and plan or create a vision board, just like a fun thing for moms to do. So I'll let you know when that's going to be. I love what you said around routines and consistency, but also putting things on hold. I feel like that is the hardest thing. Everything's telling us, be consistent, have a consistent routine, wake up and do these 5 things in order every single day, and post online every single day, and engage from the bottom up every single day. Side note, I did that when I first started my account, and now I don't do it as much, and my account's still growing. It's okay. Life will go on. There's this pressure to do the things consistently. Consistency is this buzzword, and it doesn't have to mean every day. One thing I used to tell, like 2 years ago, not even in a past life, not long ago, I was supporting women business owners with productivity, project management, all of those things. And one of the things I always tell them, and you have to picture this, is you want to think about your life holistically. Every single day, just imagine a dot on a line. And when you zoom in, you see those dots. Every day you do something, you get a dot. When you don't do something, it's just an empty space for that day. And then the next day, if you do it, there's a dot there. When you're zoomed in, you see those empty spaces, right? But when you zoom out and you look at your life, like for the month or the quarter or the year, or then like even multiple years, even if you miss days, there's still going to be a connected line, right? You're still showing consistency. So consistency doesn't mean every day. Consistency means what it needs to be for you and for that thing. For some things or moments in life or seasons, the consistency might mean daily. It might mean 3 times a week one week and 2 times the next and 5 the next. It could mean once a month. It could be once a year. So throw out this idea that consistency means you have to do something every single day forever. That's just not true. And so I appreciate you sharing that. The other thing I'll say is this idea you were talking about, you like to have structure and you want to push them but support them at the same time, is like this both and thinking is key in homeschooling, but in so much. White supremacy culture has us thinking either or. You can only be supportive of your children, you can't push them at the same time. But actually, it's not true. You can do both, and the balance of the both is where the magic happens. That's where the growth happens. That's where they get to true excel. I actually recorded a solo podcast voice note recently talking about this because I was on a Peloton ride, and Alex, I love Alex, he was like, you can be both a masterpiece and a work of art, or a work in progress. A masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. I was like, yes, this both and is so good. Okay, you started to touch on this, that's starting to share some about your routines. And one thing you said is that you weren't always like this, where like you have kind of started to define your style of homeschooling, and you were very much so like rigid, I guess, maybe I'm putting that word, I don't know if that's accurate, correct me if I'm wrong, but like more rigid, more structured, less flow. And I'm just curious, what would you tell someone, another mom who might be like you in your first 2 years of homeschooling and they're trying to get to where you are now? What pieces of advice would you give them? What tactical tips and tricks and tools maybe do you have to share for them to get to more of a place where you're at now, where it's like that both and, you know, your younger son's the wild card and you're okay with that? Like, yeah, tell us all the things, all the tips and tools and tricks.
Oh, wow. You just said a lot. But before I forget, yes, I will send you the information for Field Day and the vision board brunch. That sounds really cool. I definitely want to, yes, do that planner video. I'm going to share what I'm working on and what I was already going to talk to you about. This is just like further confirmation for me. So we'll definitely talk about that. But there was something, oh, the consistency. I love the dot analogy. For me, like I said, I am a person who used to be like, I just need to get it off my mental checklist. Like, I need it. I need to do the absolute most to get it done. If I'm up in the wee hours of the morning and I'm not in bed until the wee hours of the next morning, but my list is complete, that's what I'm going to do. And I had to get away from that. But even from there, in this current season, consistency for me means whatever God is telling me to do right now, focus on that and stick to that. Because when I add in, oh, I got this idea, even taking it as far as I know that God is calling me to do this particular thing, but going to Him and seeking Him first and being like, okay, is that a now thing? Or do you want me to do these other things first? And you'll start to reveal when that is supposed to come up. Understanding the difference in that, but also just understanding that if I stick to what He's telling me to do now. So, for example, I know what we're going to do for our local homeschool community. I know what we're going to do in the Mom Collective for this coming fall and beyond. This is the first time, though, I've been able to say, I know what we're going to do. I may not know the specifics for everything just yet, but I know the theme. I know the overall plan is done because I spent some time thinking, planning, talking to God, figuring it out. Consistency for me means I'm sticking to that. So in October, if a bright idea comes up, I'm not going to venture off and now everything is thrown off because now I'm focusing on that bright idea. That's what it means for me, because what it does is it opens up my capacity for God to do additional things if I'm not always jumping through hoops and going on to the next plane. And I think as homeschool moms, we do that too. In business, we do it with homeschooling, we do it in life. There's a new curriculum where there's a new program, there's a new this, there's a new that, which is great, right? But when I'll just speak for myself, knowing that I am called to so many different things, I have to leave space mentally to be able to handle all of these things. So that looks like, okay, at some point in my life, there has to be order. There has to be consistency, because now I have the podcast. But if I'm consistent enough to have those episodes pre-recorded, I don't have to worry about it anymore. If I'm consistent enough to at least know what we're talking about as homeschooling is concerned for that unit, I don't have to worry about it. If I'm consistent enough to know this is what I am offering in this season, or this is what my focus is, this is my target audience, and opportunities come up, I don't have to sit and wonder and be anxious and overly think about it every single time somebody presents me with something, because I know what I'm supposed to be focusing on. I just went on a whole rant, but like the light bulb with that for me made the world of a difference. So now I'm in the season of being consistent and streamlining things. Like, okay, I know this is what we're going to do. God, help me to focus on that so that I do have the capacity to maintain all that you are asking me to do. Otherwise, I will become overwhelmed. The other things will fall off. And that is something that we deal with a lot in the Mom Collective. Like, it's not just me being their life coach. I don't even really like the word coach, but it's me literally being like, okay, if you are in this, you know that God is calling you to do more. He's calling you to homeschool. He's calling you to start that business, start that community. He's calling you to be a better steward over your home. Whatever it is, he's asking you for a yes. You feel that pull, you feel that urge to do more than just winging it with your kids every day, or with your relationship, or with whatever, or making excuses for why you can't do what you know deep down inside that you need to do. But it's really about making the space and spending that time with God enough to understand that when you say yes, one, and then you like take the time to assess your schedule, assess what's on your plate, it doesn't always mean that you need to get rid of the very things that you're supposed to do. I feel like we do that a lot too. It's, oh, as soon as a mom is overwhelmed, maybe she needs to stop doing something, or maybe she just needs to get focused. And the little things like dealing with an algorithm that we can't control anyway needs to be put off. However, but if she is supposed to be sharing her story, then that's one thing. Share the story and get off the app. You know what I mean? But I feel like, again, I'm going on a tangent. So I'm going to go on to the next voice message. But this is like my heart, like my passion, helping moms, especially homeschool moms, to understand that we don't have to be stuck in this rut. I get a little like excited when this stuff comes up. I love that concept. Like, I feel like this conversation has been like amazing. Thank you for even providing this convo, because you're catching me in a moment of, or a season of me, like I said, streamlining, but also understanding that me being like this and me being different is a good thing. Like I was never created to fit in the box. So I'm like, the light bulbs have been going off constantly over the last couple of weeks. And so my answers are like me fully entering into what we're talking about. But I love what you said, because I feel like culture and society has created this stigma of you either are too strict in your homeschool life, or your life in general is like boot camp, like military boot camp, or your kids have no structure at all because you didn't like the structure you had before, so you're not going to have any at all. And it's like, how do we go from one extreme to the other? Why is it that I can't? It's not that I can't, but why is it uncommon? Because you and I are both doing it, but why is it so uncommon to say, I'm going to teach my children structure and routines and discipline? However, I still value that they have feelings and emotions and opinions. I'm going to accept the fact that we are homeschooling, so everything does not have to feel like school per se. However, I am still going to give them routines, and I'm still going to push them to go beyond what is required of them because I can see the potential within them. Like my job as their mother, or and me and my husband, our job as their parents is to see what God has already put into them and to help cultivate that, help to pull it out. How can we do that if we are so strict that we can't alter our schedule or we can't alter anything throughout the day? But at the same time, if you're not doing that, you're just letting the kid do whatever it wants to do. And how do you cultivate anything with that either? So being able to say, I teach them things in homeschooling as a group, or we have our own conversations, and they also use a program because mom can't do everything. I can't do everything, and I had to learn that the hard way. Nobody said that I had to be the one that taught all 7 core subjects and the ones that I want to add to it for 3 kids. That's not, that math is not mathing based off of my mental capacity. But also, I know that I'm being called to do additional things. So what works for my family is that I teach them things. If there's something that we need to review, or if there's additional information that they're interested in, that is where mommy comes in. But as far as history for middle schoolers this coming year, I don't want nothing to do with that. I may add to it again. I may come up with a unit study when I see that she's interested in something specific, but we do the programs also. We have a morning, an afternoon, and evening routine. However, I also field trips. We did this thing last year for the majority of the homeschool year, where on Mondays, I saw that we were it was hard on Mondays. And I hope I'm not getting too far ahead. I was trying to respond as you were responding, so I didn't forget to say things. On Mondays, we did a more lax day. So we would watch a lot of educational stuff, and they were learning without realizing that they were learning, but it was real relaxed. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we were doing our group sessions and they were doing their programs. And on Fridays, we had field trips, we had play dates, we were out, we had our homeschool meetups with our local community that I run. That's just the way that it was. And that worked for us. That season worked because it was a balance. We're still trying to get down the fact that if we do school in the morning, mommy works in the afternoon without you guys asking me 5,000 questions. That's still a work in progress. But the system itself is still there. They understand that at some point throughout the day, mom has to do her own thing, and not even every day. As I'm continuing to stay consistent and focused on what God is calling me to do business-wise, that also frees up more time for my family, and I'm not reconstructing things every single day, or I'm not chasing an algorithm every single day. Like you were saying, it means different things in different seasons. So the first time that we homeschooled, it was during the pandemic. There were the 2 years there. At the time, my oldest daughter was in first grade, and I was also homeschooling my youngest daughter. I had been giving her pre-K work the entire time. Like she was 3 or 4, I think. And first of all, let me backtrack. I was homeschooled for a few years, I think until through second grade. There's that. But I never set out to be like, you know what, I loved it so much, which I did. But that was never my intent because I was career focused. I wanted to help provide for my family. I was a paralegal. I loved it. Like that's a whole nother story. But it wasn't like I grew up saying I'm going to homeschool my kids because I loved it so much. So when the pandemic happened, I knew that I was capable of doing it. But it was more so I'm making this decision for my family, but I need to do it all by myself without any help. Mind you, it's also the pandemic, so it's not like I could actually go out and find help either. I was just like in this bubble of perfection. Thank God that bubble has popped since, but this bubble of I can do it myself and I don't want to ask for help because then it looks like I made the wrong decision. So there's that. But also, I was very much, this is our schedule. This is what we do. We sit at the table. I had redecorated our entire dining room to make it look like a classroom because I didn't want my kids to feel like they were missing out on anything. It was just a whole thing. I had books on top of books on top of books. I had curriculum. I had all of the manipulatives and literally anything that you could possibly think of that made it cool to be homeschooled. We had it. Like I said, I completely changed our entire dining room. It looked like you were walking into a elementary school classroom. It was a lot. And then when we moved, I did the same thing where we are now. Like we had a extra room that I completely changed into a school / playroom. And what I noticed is that my kids didn't necessarily care about all of that stuff. They wanted to be on the floor, just on their little cushions. They just wanted the freedom to do the work where they wanted to do it. Now, I do want to say real quick, because I feel like all of my answers have been really long, so I'm sorry about that. But I do want to say that all of my kids have completely different personalities. My oldest is very routine oriented. I could give her a list and she's going to get it done in the time that I asked her to get it done, and I'm not going to have an issue out of it. My other two are very much different. My middle youngest daughter is more like, I go to the beat of my own drum. I don't really like the whole I do this at this time type of thing. And then again, my son is 4 and he's everywhere because he's 4. Trying to navigate through that has taught me to relax a lot, because while I grew up more structured as far as schedules and routines, I'm seeing that may not necessarily work. However, it's not something that I should completely get rid of, because it's still a life lesson to understand that if you have to go to work, you can't just get up at 11 and be like, oh, I'm late for work. Sorry. That's not how it works. So trying to navigate between all of the different personalities, trying to shape them to be the leaders and the adults that I want them to be, and that I see that they're capable of being, it requires me to make some adjustments. This past school year, when we pulled them out of public school, because we did send them back in between these homeschooling stories, we had a conversation with them. And I asked them what was it that they wanted to do differently this time. Now that they're older, their brother is now older. How can we make this work for our family in this current season? One of the things they said was they wanted to do more stuff outside. So they did not want to do school at home every single day. And they wanted more field trips, and they wanted community. Being mom, of course, I was like, you know what, I can actually get with that. Let's do more field trips. I didn't intend to do the community the way that it is now, and I didn't intend to do it so quickly, but God, we have made adjustments. So sometimes, like my daughter, like I said, I can give her work and she's fine. She did amazing with Bellas. I could trust that when it was time for her to do her schoolwork, she would go sit on her bed with her headphones and she would do her work. Of course, I can see it, but she maintained a 3.7 GPA the entire time. Like, the program gave us her grades and her GPA and everything, 3.7 the entire time. I didn't have to say anything to her. The other two, some days we were at the table, some days we were on the floor, some days we were watching videos. Some days I noticed we need a brain break first before we actually get started, because you guys are everywhere. It was a lot of that. And I had to be okay with making adjustments and not feeling like the adjustment was a failure or a reflection of how I was doing as their mom or as a homeschooler. It helped me to understand that me doing what they needed was better for all of us, and not being so rigid with the schedule, but also trying to maintain some type of order so that we can still get more than just school accomplished.
Okay, I love that you have this practice of listening to God often and helping that to guide your decision and what you prioritize and focus on, and how you're have gotten to a point where you're not shifting to thing and transitioning and starting new stuff all the time. I think that we've all been there. Like, shiny object syndrome is so real, especially if you go on the internet at all. And I love how you're working on staying consistent in your plan. One of the things I used to say when I was a business coach to new entrepreneurs is you have to create the plan, but more importantly, you have to work the plan. So often, especially people who love planning, like myself, we spend so much time on creating the plan and feel like the plan is the thing, but it's actually the execution that's going to move the needle for your goals. So create the plan and then work the plan. I love how you're focusing not only on having a plan and having time to identify what's going to be on your plan, but making sure that your plan's being executed and you're sticking to that plan, and not just like doing part of it and getting bored and moving on, but because I've totally been there, but actually doing the whole plan. And please don't apologize for the length of your voice note. The details is where the gems are. So definitely
share all the things and share as they come up. You don't have to wait for any questions. I appreciate you sharing as much as you did, and I love your passion because the energy is just as important as the content, and people are going to love that so much. So in terms of your community, I was going to ask you why you created it, but you already shared that, and I love that it was partially because of your children's feedback to you. So that's so smart, and I hope that encourages other people to ask their children, how homeschooling is going for them before we start the next school year, so that they can incorporate their plans and thoughts, or incorporate their thoughts into their plans. So I understand your why, but if there's any more as to why you decided to make your in-person community, definitely would love to know that. And then just talk to me about how you got it done, because I know there's a lot of people who themselves or their kids want more community, or maybe want a different type of community, and sometimes it's going to require them to create it. So how did you make it happen?
I love what you just said. Create the plan and work the plan. That is so good. And it's definitely a good way to say what I am doing now. I feel like the last year or so, with this new God-given vision and goal, and also just learning who I am in the process, I definitely feel like I've learned a lot. I've seen a lot, and he's shown me different things and shown me how I am different. It's now time to take all of that in a package and put it into action. That's definitely where we're at now with DFG. It's okay. We've done some amazing things, and I've also learned some lessons. So now let's not pivot, but let's clean it up a little bit. Let's make sure the edges are a little bit better so that we can continue to grow and continue to move forward. I'm really excited about that. And then also with the community, like I was saying, I started it partially because I didn't see what I was looking for my kids, but also after having conversations with them about what they wanted. And one of the main things that makes Destined for Greatness Homeschooling different is that I don't focus on the curriculum. It really bothers me to an extent when a mom is eager to homeschool, but she gets instantly overwhelmed by the insane amount of curriculums and the everybody just hounding, you need this curriculum and you need to do this and this one is that and this one costs this. It's so overwhelming that I wish there was another way to introduce moms into the homeschooling space. But not only that, I feel a lot of us are doing a very good job at teaching them the core subjects. But I think where it lacks and where the annoying stigma comes from about kids not having any social skills, it's because we lack communities that are catering to what it is that we're trying to do. Now, I don't see anything wrong with the ones that just focus on us coming together and working on the subjects together. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But for me, I wanted to do things differently. I wanted us to focus on the rest of the child. Like, how are we going to shape them for the future? But how are we shaping them for the future? How are we molding them to be leaders, to be God-fearing, to be good friends? Like, we are at a place now where there's a very good chance if a kid is in public school that they are being bullied, or even private school. But we in Destined for Greatness Homeschooling, it's like we're cultivating a family, a community. The hope and the prayer is that as we go along this homeschooling journey, that we all grow together. They learn how to work through differences together. They learn what it looks like and what it is to be good friends to each other, to be leaders, to be servants, to help the community, to follow their goals and their dreams, to accomplish their goals. Like, all of the things that we don't typically talk about in those core subjects are really near and dear to my heart. We do field trips, big on field trips and hands-on learning. I am also implementing that addition this coming school year, so that moms understand that it's okay to push your kid a little bit further than the curriculum says. It's okay to pour into them and to try to create an atmosphere where everybody in your circle is raising their kids with the same agenda. Maybe not the same way. We might not have the same routine. We might not have the same schedule and all of that stuff, but do we have the same goal in mind? Are we trying to pour Christ into our kids? Are we trying to pour good values into our kids? Are we trying to teach them how to be, if they want to be entrepreneurs, do we pour into them what that looks like? What skills do they need? Even from a young age, you never really know what your kid has within them until you start paying attention, until you start pouring into them and pulling out of them the gifts that God has already put within them. So that is like why, that's another reason why I started Destined for Greatness Homeschooling. It really was like also just an act of obedience. I wasn't sure. I wanted to wait until I got our own homeschooling stuff together. I wanted it all to be perfect, to be honest. And it was one day in October that I was just like, I heard that if I reach out to the library, I might be able to get a meeting room together. And I'm going to just reach out. I'm going to just see what happens. And I kept running into people that were asking me like random, like I didn't know these people. They were like, oh my God, I'm looking for a homeschool co-op. I'm looking for this. I'm looking for somebody who has these things and I don't have, do you have a co-op? Do you have a co-op? And at this time, I'm like, it's in my head. It's in my notes, but no, I don't have one at the moment. So that was a sign for me constantly over and over again, constant confirmation for me to do what I felt deeply in my heart to do. And it's just been growing ever since. Every month we've come together for different things, different activities. We had a Christmas party. We did self-esteem and self-love for Valentine's Day. And we did the graduation in June. We have field day coming up. And that's just in between our regular meetups. It's been one month, one plan, one idea at a time. Now, as we were just talking about, I am putting it all into action. I'm packaging it better so people fully hear, see, and understand where the heart of it comes from. And I would also say, to your other point, if there is a mom looking for a community, if you don't see it, by all means, find another mom. It doesn't even have to be that you're not responsible for this entire group of people. It could just be one mom that you choose to do life with. If you choose to do this homeschooling journey with, and you never know what will happen. And of course, if you're in Maryland, I'm like right here. I also want to say, open yourself up. I, believe it or not, was very introverted at a point, and I would not reached out or said, hey, it could be a simple, hey, you're in the library. You never know what a smile, what a hi, you just being nice to another mom, what that will turn into. You really just never know. Being open. I know we often say we don't have a village, we don't have friends, we don't know who to trust. But one thing I've done is said, God, I want you to put people in my life that are going to help support me, that I can support them. The friendships that you desire for me, God, I need you to show me who they are. And be open to it when he does show you. Not closed off, not like I can't trust anybody, I can do this all by myself. None of that. Be open to it. And that's also like where the Mom Collective came from, because I feel like a lot of us are like this. We're busy and we're also just not fully trusting of each other. But the Mom Collective also gives us the chance to support each other in that space too. You don't have to, as much as I would love for it to be in person all the time, I also love that it's virtual, because you don't have to physically go anywhere. You don't have to pack them up. You don't have to look for a babysitter. You literally just have to be available. You have to be willing, maybe during an hour a week, and willing to put in the work during the other times. But we're jam-packed with encouragement and resources, and just the ability to pour into each other, I think, is unmatched. But yeah, just to end this part, I think if you're just open to it, you never know what's going to happen. Just be open, soften your heart a little bit, and see what happens, because your kids need it just as much as you do.
That last line was a gem. Your kids need it just as much as you do. For folks who think that their kids need it more, actually the opposite can be true too, is you need it just as much as your kids do. That's the great thing I found about the co-op that we joined, which is 10 minutes from our house. It's super convenient. I'm very grateful. And like those Wednesdays, while my son was so excited to go play and be with friends, I was like, yes, I get to be around other homeschooling moms so we can just chat and share things. And we both needed that space. It's super true. And I'm really glad that you started your in-person community and your virtual community. Maybe I think you said definitely for the in-person, it was like before you were ready, like you wanted everything to be perfect.
and weren't planning to start it as soon as you did. I'm glad you listened and that you did that, because you not only are giving your children what they gave you feedback around, but you're helping other people and you're being such an example for how to do that. I love the focus of it, that it's not just about the academics, because we typically are handling that at home, right? Unless you're going to a part-time homeschool or part-time school and then homeschooling other days. Most of the time, the academics are covered at home. So the co-op, especially for me, I was joining co-op for, I don't even want to say socialization. It's more for friendships, right? Like, I wanted my son to be able to have meaningful and consistent, and we'll see, it's been a year, but lasting friendships, right? And so that's what it was for me. I love how it's like for you, it's about instilling values, leadership, helping cultivate their unique abilities and interests and all of that. I love that. And I'm curious to know, what does it look like? I know you mentioned field trips, you're adding field trips, and you mentioned different events like field day and graduation and different themes based off of the time of year. And those were like the things outside of the other regular ones. So what does the schedule look like? And I'm asking this because definitely if you're in Maryland, then Destined for Greatness, you just need to be a part of Destiny's community, because why wouldn't you? It's there for you. If someone is in Florida or not near, to be able to be a part of this, and they're like, that's exactly what I'm looking for, that type of community. And they're like, how do I make that happen? What are you and the other moms planning? What does the schedule look like, if there is a schedule? Is it that you meet weekly? Is it just once a month? I'm curious to know more about the structure of it. And then I want to ask you, I'll stop there and then we can go to the next thing I want to ask you about.
Yeah, so we are going to do at least 2 things every month. It's going to be either a meetup and a field trip, since I'm doing something in addition with the older kids. So it's like a mini branch of what we're doing. They're called the Junior Leadership Program. That's because we have a couple of older kids, and I would love to get more older kids between the ages of 9 and 14, because I was seeing with my daughter and a couple of the other ones, they do have leadership capabilities. So I was trying to think of what can I give them to do to pull that out of them, because most of them are really shy and quiet and sweet. Like, they're all really sweet. But I'm like, okay, I see that they have the capabilities. So let me see what we can put together. I actually talked to my oldest daughter about it. Once I ran all the ideas through my head, I talked to her about what that would look like. And so we're going to do one group thing, so with everybody, and then I'm going to do something separate with them, the older kids, each month. So at least 2 times a month we'll be meeting together. I'm sure that there will be a park day and added something throughout the month, but definitely for sure those 2. Like you said, if you're in Maryland, by all means, reach out, come join us. If you're hearing this before July 26th, definitely try to attend field day. I really wanted people to get a chance to get to know me, get to know the vibe of everybody before, because I think that a lot of co-ops you have to pay for before you get a chance to get to know everybody. Things change. I've heard that a lot too, whereas I was in the co-op and now I'm not really vibing with everybody anymore, but I've already paid, so now I'm stuck. I wanted to give people a chance to get to know us beforehand. And then if you are virtual, I will give you, trying to decide if I want to say this or not. It is my heart's desire to one day expand the local group. I'll say that. But if you are a mom who is looking to be supported on your homeschooling journey, definitely check out my virtual community. In that community, we are supporting mom in every aspect of your life. So we are doing, right now we're actually reading the book, The Journey of Yes by Brenda Palmer. We are discussing that. They get access to hugely discounted coaching services. We talk about meal planning. We talk about our businesses. We talk about stepping out in faith and saying yes to the things we know God is calling us to do. We also talk about how to manage these kids and be better wives, just showing up as our best selves or at least trying to be, or trying to get to that point. I will be collaborating with some amazing educators, homeschool moms who are able to provide additional resources for the homeschool moms that I can't directly access, or even the local ones here for additional help. Because, like I said, we're going to do the more social aspects and enrichment, I guess you could call it, of homeschooling. But at the end of the day, mom still needs resources. For example, like your planner, Erica. Every mom needs a planner, or every mom at least looks at them. So that will be the types of things that we're connecting with, tutors and things like that. I don't want to give too much away, but there will be ways for you to still be supported. You could be all the way in California. That's what I love about there being the virtual aspect. Who knows? I may add a kid aspect on there, on the virtual part too, if I see that it starts to explode in the virtual group and there is a need for those kids to come together as well. I have no problem creating different projects and different meetups and things for them to do virtually. I also would love for us all to travel and meet up and do different things. Like I said, it is a dream of mine for what we're doing here in Maryland to be available in other places. So we'll see what God does with that. I've learned that He doesn't just give us the desires of our hearts, but oftentimes as we get closer to God and as we sit back and try to get out of the way, our desires become what He already desired for us in the first place. I truly believe that all of this is very much God ordained. So we don't know. We don't know how long it'll actually take for us to be able to do that. But yeah, definitely if you're in Maryland, check us out. You have access to everything on my website as well as on social media. There's also the Mom Collective. You will get support hands down. We have had businesses wake up out of fear, out of anxiety. We've had a Proverbs 31 Bible study, which was life-changing for all of us. There will be additional resources coming. We have connections with other educators that will be able to help your kid, and potentially some business resources coming soon too. All things I'll be working on over the next couple of weeks to make sure that it is ready before the school year. If you're open to the change, to the accountability, to progress, then I strongly encourage you to check it out because we're doing some amazing things. I'm so proud of both groups and the moms that are in the groups and the things that they are able to accomplish right now, and just the push that they are able to show up every day and give God their yes every day, whether it's homeschooling, whether it's being a better steward over their home, or starting that business. For some of us, it's all of the above, and they're constantly showing up. I'm very proud of everybody and the kids. They're blossoming. It's just been an amazing journey.
Okay, I absolutely love everything that you're doing with your community, both in person and online, particularly the work for older kids. I've gotten feedback on social media. There's so much out there for toddlers and younger kids, but not a lot out there for older kids. So kudos to you and congratulations on everything you've built, and congratulations in advance for everything that's going to come from the work that you're putting in over the next couple weeks, and just all the relationships that you've cultivated and the things that you're working on. I'm super, super excited for you. I am curious about this point around you are supporting homeschool moms, but you're also talking about motherhood in general and all the other things, because homeschooling doesn't happen in a vacuum by itself. It's like you do homeschooling and life all together. So what's been one of the biggest pieces of learning that the moms who are part of your community have, maybe they've had an aha moment or a theme that keeps coming up, but what is it that folks are focusing on learning about and putting into action when it comes to, like, I'm homeschooling, but I'm also a mom? So thinking about folks who are feeling like, I got to figure out this balance right now, and I still have yet to determine my opinion on the way that we try to achieve balance. Like, is balance really real? So if you have thoughts on that, definitely feel free to share. But yeah, I'm just curious about the biggest thing that's out there right now when it comes to this idea of motherhood in conjunction with homeschooling, or all the other parts of life that are not just homeschooling.
Oh, thank you so much. To answer, I want to touch on the point of you're still trying to understand how to say or how to explain balance. I think that's what I'm trying to say. I feel the same way, which is why I try not to use the word balance. It may come out just because that's the go-to word, but I honestly feel like it's more of a juggling act. I heard someone say it on a podcast. I wish I could remember who it was, but she was describing it not as a balance, because a balance means that at some point you are trying to even things out. But a juggling act represents sometimes there are going to be things that you focus more on and other things will fall off because you can only juggle with so many things at once. There should be a standard of things that we're always going to be juggling: our marriages, our children, and we can even put homeschooling in there, our relationship with God, and what He is calling us to do. Those should be the things that are constantly in rotation, and things, they're the balls that we never drop. So then there's other things that we may be able to throw in every once in a while and juggle if we can. If we can't, then it falls off in that particular season. But as far as the things I think that's one of the things we touch on a lot in our group, not winging it. I feel like we are fighting as a society structure so much that we go from one extreme to the other. It's like I'm either going to be too rigid or I'm not going to have a structure at all. And I think that with this juggling act, you have to be able to have some sort of structure in your home. One of the things that we've done is a scheduling audit. It's been like, okay, yes, this is what you typically do, but from the outside looking in, you actually have more time than you think. For example, one of the moms, when we first started, it was something as simple as not taking the kids outside right before bedtime and then expecting them to be calm enough to go to sleep. It sounds like something simple, right? But if you're just like, you know what, I'm going to tire them out and I'm going to send them off to bed, or we're going to take our baths and then they'll be fine. But just from the outside looking in, it was like, hey, let's just try it because they're not my kids. It's not my house. So I'm just giving a suggestion. But let's try flipping it. Maybe they go out earlier in the day and the rest of the day is spent doing crafts and dinner and bath time. So they spent the last few hours telling their boss to calm down. And believe it or not, it actually made a really big difference. So it's the scheduling, it's understanding that you don't have to be doing too many things, but focusing on what it is that you should be doing. What are you being called to focus on in this moment? And let's work towards figuring out how to make that happen. Because I think a lot of the times that we don't do what we're being called to do, whether that's homeschooling or starting a business, is because we don't see where we have the space or time or the capacity to do it. That doesn't mean that I always feel like I have the space or the capacity to do what I know that I'm being called to do. But I can implement things in my routine, or I can implement a community or resources that will help me. So for example, with homeschooling, I know that during certain times or at certain grades or certain ages, I'm going to need more assistance with homeschooling. So my kids do have additional programs to keep us on track. But do I also teach them things myself? Absolutely. So I was able to make that transition and not feel like I have to do everything myself. I can't ask for help. And I touch on all parts of mom really quickly because I was that homeschooling mom at first. The first 2 years of trying to do it all myself. I was trying to be the perfect mom, trying to be the perfect wife, trying to be the perfect homeschooler and do it all alone because I felt if I had reached out for help or if I had admitted how much I was struggling, then it made it seem like I made the wrong decision. So everything that we do is because I was that mom. I've already lived it. I've lived it where it's okay, I feel like we got through school, but now I'm so tapped out that I don't feel like figuring out dinner, or I'm secretly concerned about the prices of things going up. How do I make the meals that we have work? How do I do this? How do I create different things where these kids are not going to get sick of eating the same thing every single day? How do I make sure that I still show up for my husband? How do I make sure that I still show up for myself? Because I matter too. The way that I pour into myself matters too. Like, how do I do all of these things? And I realized that a lot of people were thinking the same thing. A lot of moms were going through that exact same thing, which is why I emphasize I don't just want to focus on homeschooling. Yes, I'm going to connect you with the resources that you need. Yes, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to make sure that you feel fulfilled and supported in that area. But I also want to make sure that when the book's closed, when the planner is closed, when the lights are off in that particular space that you homeschool in, are you okay? Do you still feel like you can keep going? Do you feel spiritually grounded? Do you feel supported? Do you feel like you have a group of moms who understand what you're going through? Do you feel like you could just reach out like, y'all, I got this chicken and I don't know what to do with it today? Or I have this event. Help me pour into myself so that I can show up as my best self and I represent this brand or business that God is calling me to do. I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something, but I can't in my own strength at this moment push to do it. I know who I can go to. I can go to God first, but God has also given me the support and the resources to rely on these other moms to pull me out, to push me to continue to do what I am being called to do. That's what the Mom Collective is. It's not just focusing on what curriculum you chose. It is supporting you as mom. So if I use myself as an example, it's supporting Destiny. Destiny is all of these things, but Destiny is still Destiny, and Destiny needs support regardless of what it is that she is being called to do in this season.
Okay, I feel like we could just drop the mic right there and end because you obviously know that other moms are feeling this way. All of that is so real in motherhood and in today's day and age when we're just super busy, you have so much going on, and there's information all over the place all the time. It can be easy to forget to take care of yourself. So I love that you're helping moms to not only homeschool, but also to take care of themselves and make sure that they're okay. So I love that. I love that so much. All right. I would like to turn it over to you. If there's anything I did not ask you about, anything you wanted to mention that we didn't get to talk about, sharing that. And then, of course, we'll have you share where people can connect with you. I know we talked a little bit about field day, but there's anything else going on or things you just want people to know. So first, any last pieces of advice or information or things you want to say, and then tell us where we can connect with you and stay in touch and what you have going on.
That's funny. If I had anything else to say, it would be for anybody that's listening that you can do it. If God is calling you to homeschool, it may feel overwhelming at the moment. It may feel like you don't know where to begin. The pressure is on, but I fully believe that if you just take one thing at a time, one day at a time, take time to pray, take time to get to know your kids, talk to them about this new journey before you go into curriculums. I think that would be very helpful. Find your people. Even if it's not one of us, there are people out there that are for you and that will be able to go along this journey with you. I always say that find people whose core values are the same, not necessarily that you use the same curriculum or you have the same routines, but are your values the same? And that will be a little bit better than trying to find everything that matches perfectly. And just, believe in yourself. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, but also don't forget about yourself too in this entire process. Like, you still matter. You are the foundation of your home. I say that a lot too. And you can do it. As far as what am I doing? We've talked about Field Day, that is July 26th. After that, we are ramping up the school year again. DFG's local group will jump right back into our field trips, our activities, our meetups. Things will be a little more structured this year. That's for the better. It's going to be really good. I'm excited about the enhancements that we have coming up. And same with the Mom Collective. If any of those, if not both, sounded like something you could benefit from, definitely hit me up on social media. My Instagram is a fairly new page, but it's Destined for Greatness Homeschool. Same on TikTok. Or on TikTok, it's DFG Homeschooling. And then my website, you can literally just go there and find everything instead of trying to figure out what the username is. My website is destinedforgreatnesshomeschooling.com. And everything that we have talked about is there. I have some collaborations coming up including with Erica. So hopefully you guys are looking out for that. I would just say continue to support her too. She has some amazing things going on. And it's hard out here trying to build a business, but doing it, believing in God at the same time, homeschooling. It's all a lot. So yeah, definitely support us both. What you can support from what we are doing. I think that will be amazing. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. This has been really fun.
Thank you, Destiny. Yes, support because we're out here doing the things. It was so good chatting with you. Thank you. I know this is a new idea. Everybody was like, yes, I want to do it. And I'm like, oh gosh, now we're going to do it. Hopefully it comes out good. I appreciate you taking your time to share all the gems you have shared. I'm super excited for everybody who gets to listen to you share everything, but also then to take you up on these offers to be a part of your communities because I know they will be served greatly and get so much out of it. So I'm so appreciative of you. This chat is going to be closed right now for the official podcast, but it's always open. Feel free. We'll probably end up DMing on Instagram because it's easier over there. We'll definitely be working together. So everybody be on the lookout for all the things we have going on together. So excited. Thank you so much. This was so good. I so appreciate you. Bye.